Aloha! Boy, kids, I'll tell you, I guess the last time I saw you, I was going to talk about little Marty Boy up the hill of Cliff Street with all the little nuns looking at us, half the school until they saw the nuns. I promised to get to that because I got to just throw something at you so quickly that even Uncle Martin's learning at this time and space where we get to learn every day, and I got to throw this at you because it's pretty important, and I might be able to help somebody out there on some level. So this is it. I said last time I think I was wearing a blue shirt, yellow. And I said I gotta go. I got things. I got things I gotta do. I thought I did, but in reality, we think we're going somewhere and we don't get to go anywhere. Is there a reason for that? Yes, there is. It's for us to learn. 3 times someone is parked in my driveway. So I was on the 3rd time, but I'm going to start with the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. It is all coming full circle. The 1st time, guy was out there at midnight. I really had somewhere to go, but I said, I can wait till tomorrow. I got up at 7. The guy was still not there. I was going to wait for him. I had to speak to him gently, and he finally came 2 hours later. He comes out, long hair, looked like a hippie, but I wasn't judging. He definitely did say he was partaking in things. He came from the bar, and he he says he came in, he got out of the bar, the girls invited him over. And I know next door, the girls, day before, came in with a U-Haul, 3 girls, and he was invited over to their house. And so he said he couldn't wait to get in there. But he didn't really see the driveway, the porch light. The street light was out. So I can see that possibility. And plus the driveway I have, it was dark enough that where he seemed to be, I guess, involved until 9 o'clock in the morning, which is understandable because I had been there many times before in the past. So he comes out and says, I go, and he says, oh, I'm sorry. And from his heart, I could tell he was sorry. So I said, okay, you do realize I saw you parked there since midnight. I didn't call a tow truck. I came out and you were still at 9 o'clock. I've lost a lot of situation here where I've lost money, I said. And he said, then I said, and by the way, I have a police officer and a tow truck coming. You don't know how fortunate you are. And then he's going in his pocket. And I said, no, that's not what I want. I want you to be able to see that you've done something negative. And he says, boy, oh boy, I apologize. I am so sorry. And I said, okay, see you later. As far as I was concerned, he was sorry. It wasn't sorry. Nah. So he was sorry. I let him go. The next time it happened was like a month later. Oh, by the way, when that happened, I thought, well, there's no signs posted. I looked up the law. Governor Ducey at the time had a law that for people that were disabled or somebody that parked in somebody's driveway, $250 fine. So I ran to the store, got 2 big signs, no, big P, no parking. I put the numbers up, 183 or whatever the heck it was. You know how I am with numbers. And then after that, it said, owner will be towed at their own expense. Perfect. But I wasn't happy with that. I said, this is not positive enough. I put big black letters, block driveway on both sides, on both signs. You will be towed at your own expense. Perfect. Now this person parks in front of my driveway with both these signs being shown. I'm saying, this is like really ignorant, isn't it? So I called the police. The guy shows up. I give him 2 license plates. So apparently the gal looked them up, and he comes in and says, hey, there's nothing wrong with this car. There's nothing wrong with that. And they were just a little bit in my way. And I said, no, not, well, that one, yeah, but look at this one. I said, look at this. He says, oh, that's definitely blocking your driveway. And I said, look at that. And he says, oh, you got the signs up. Absolutely, he said in the wrong. I was just saying they were negative. You know how I feel about right and wrong. It's immaterial. It is either positive or negative. I think you kind of understand. So I said, I want this guy to get a ticket because I knew it was $250. And he said, well, I can do that. Then I said, and I want you to call the tow truck. He says, I can do that. He says, you can do it. He says, I said, I don't want the repercussions. And he says, don't worry about it. Don't even fear. Don't have, he said, don't worry. Worry is fear. And I said, yeah, I want you to call. He says, okay, I'll do that. So he calls. We're waiting for the tow truck. I said, how can people do this? He says, I see it all the time. You would not believe what I see. I said, I believe what you. And by the way, kids, police officers can be positive or negative. They get to choose. Like any plumber, electrician, anybody can choose. You, me, anybody. I'm just saying, don't be pegging police officers as negative people. They can be negative, and they're out there. There are also positive ones. So just don't get carried away on extremes. That's all I'm saying. So the guy, okay, while we're waiting, I'm thinking, oh man, that's negative to have this guy get a ticket. If anybody's been towed into a place they bring the cars, it's over $250 now. I know that for a fact because I know that. So I'm thinking, it's a little extreme. I said, you don't have to give the guy a ticket. He says, I can do that. So he was more than willing to give him a ticket, take him towing, whatever. So the guy never came out and he got his car towed. Perfect. So that guy learned a different lesson who came out. And I said, by the way, when he comes out looking for his car, how's he going to know? He says, oh, don't worry about that. When he calls in to say, my car was stolen, they'll tell him where it's at. I said, great, this is really positive. So see you later. Now, the third time is when I said, I'll see, aloha, be well. And I thought I was going somewhere. Apparently I wasn't. I got out to the front of my driveway. I got my car, I got really close to them, and I said, this is a little negative. So I backed up a little bit, and I said, I'm going to wait for this person. I don't care who it is. So I watered the flowers, I watered the cactus, I watered it a half hour's worth. So I'm now waiting. I don't know, it was about 8 o'clock. I'm now at 9 o'clock, and I'm saying, boy, I need to go somewhere. And so I whistled. I have a very loud whistle. I've always been gifted with that. Dad showed me, actually somebody else showed me. Once you get a good whistle, positive whistle, you're known. So I whistled over there 3 times. I whistled over here 3 times. Figured maybe a wake-up call. Hey, maybe I'm in his driveway. Didn't work that way. I learned so many things about negativity. I was ready to do things like when I had the water, they had a kind of a dirty car. I was going to water it down. And I thought, it's muddy. It could get on their windows. It's safety. And plus, it's rather negative to do that. So I held back from doing that. And then I had some other very negative ideas that I was going to make this known to them that they shouldn't do it. Then I thought, Jiminy, that's negative. I said, go. And the negative went. Okay, so we can always choose whether we want to take the negativity in or positive when our thoughts come in. I'm just saying if we're in the lighthouse of seeing when positive and negative comes, we have a choice of watering those thoughts or not. I felt at the time I would be watering weeds. I'm telling you kids all this stuff, and whoever's listening, anybody can explain how you should be choosing positive and negative, but who's going to really do it? So here I am in the position of saying, man, I can't be saying this stuff. I've been applying everything I'm saying to you, but now I was really getting a choice here. And man, so I said, forget this. I'm not waiting anymore. I get on the phone. I call, beep, beep, beep. Who's the closest tow truck? I was not putting up with this. 3.7 miles. I punch it in. I get a dispatcher. I didn't know it was Matthew at the time. And I said, look, I've got to get somewhere. And I want you guys to get over here right now. And if you can't, forget about it. I'll call somebody else. And then he says, oh, I'm sorry. I got the board. It's all lit up. I got 24 people. You're going to be the 25th one. And I ended up 2 and 5. That's 7. So Uncle Martin has a spiritual test in front of him, which I'm thinking, oh man, so I said, okay, put me down. I gave him my address. I said, I'm 25. Fantastic. And we hung up. And then I was thinking, oh man, I was really negative on that. I was very forceful. Kids, we can really think things negative or positive, and we can speak things negative or positive. Uncle Martin was yelling at this guy because I was a little distraught about where I thought I was going to go. So I called back and I said, you know what? What's your name, Matthew? Okay, that sounds biblical. And I said, hey, my name's Uncle Martin. He said, hey, how do you do? And I said, well, this is what I said. I didn't say I was sorry. I just said, you guys are all, you got so much stuff going on. If perchance, God forbid, these people come out, because I wanted to talk to them with a tow truck. I guess I was still negative. So I said, and if they do come out, I'll give you a call back and let you know, cancel a call. And he says, boy, thank you. I wish everybody did that. I said, okay, goodbye. And then I was thinking, the guy's out there towing people for whatever reason. He's making a living. Why should I have him come over to my house when it's a cancel call and let them not know? See, kids, it's always a positive or negative you're looking at things. And I was thinking more positive. I mean, I was keeping it as possible, positive as possible. So the guy across the street with his big fat, I call him pork chop. It was a great big pit bull, and she was at least 120 pounds. They get pretty big. So we had a business transaction, and now that I'm thinking about it, he had a dirty elbow. So what did Aunt Nancy say? Don't do business deals with people with dirty elbows. And I didn't think about it because I thought of two of them, and now I clicked it. He was the third one. I got really a negative situation, so I didn't talk to him for 2 years. I just wanted him to stay away, and he did. So now he's on the other side of the street looking at the car. Well, now the girl comes out. It's a girl. She's coming over to the car, and I was calling because I knew what buttons to push, 6 for the operator. I said, hey, Matthew, cancel out the address I gave him. And he says, who is this? I said, Uncle Martin. He says, oh, okay, thank you so much. So now I got the girl coming over. The guy who I had misgivings, that I didn't work out yet, apparently. So he's looking at like, what's going on? I didn't even want to talk to him about anything. So I step in front of, the girl opens the door. I step in next to her and I said, young lady, she's like 22, 25. I said, young lady, what you have done here. And I point to this situation. My car is close to yours. You know, I got a big Lincoln, lady. I can't get out. You're blocking me. And then she says, I'm sorry. And that didn't come from her heart. I could tell. So I had to keep going. I said, by the way, you must be a rich person. No, I have 2 children. I could see I was getting across to her. And I said, by the way, 10, 11 feet, you got plenty of room. You parked in front of my driveway. She says, yeah, she saw that. And I said, by the way, I got 2 big signs. You're going to get towed by your own expense. Oh, it's sinking in more and more to where she's becoming a little more sorry. So I could see that. So I said, that's fine. All I wanted is for you to see that it's a negative thing to park in front of somebody's driveway. And she says, yes, I'm sorry. I knew at that point I got across to her. This guy across the street, I guess he's listening. He's coming over on my property now. So I get in my car, turn it on. I didn't even want to talk to the guy, believe me. And I turn it on, put my lights on, and she's still fumbling around or whatever. So he's looking at saying, I'm saying, eh. So I open up the door. I have to talk to him now. And I said, well, we all get choices, don't we? We can go negative or positive. You can see it's working out positively. He says, yeah, okay. So he goes over to the girl and says, what are you doing? Like he's helping me out. I didn't need your help, buddy. And whatever she said, he comes back and says, yeah, she's on the phone. She left her keys in the apartments next door. He'll be out with the keys. I said, oh, fantastic. And I said, you see, big guy, how this works? I could have been really negative here, or positive. And so far it's been positive. She understands what I'm coming across. He says, really? I said, yeah, we get a choice with karma coming back to us. If we engage in negative, we get back negative. We get in positive, we get back to it. He says, yeah, that's right. And then he says, I've been on the phone all week, and he's calling them names, and he says, they don't know what's going on. I said, look, big guy, you got a choice to go in with that negativity. Why would you want to make more karma with these people being negative with them? He says, yeah, I guess so. So it was getting across to him on some level, too, that he wasn't looking at. Especially what you did to me, I didn't even bring up. So now she's finally out of the way, and I can get out of there. And I said, hey, big guy, see how positive this was? It could have went in different directions. He says, you're absolutely correct. So goodbye. See you later. And then it was like she understood. He understood. And that, by the way, I told him, I said, and by the way, big guy, that girl will never, ever, ever, the rest of her life, ever park and block somebody's driveway. He says, yeah, I guess she won't. So I had to keep going until she really understood. It was reminding me of my dad. he was trying to get something across to people when they weren't really seeing until he was happy that they could see what the situation was. So I kind of picked it up, and I wasn't even thinking what I was doing, except I wanted that person to know it was very negative to park in front of a driveway. Thank you, it's over. I just had to throw that out there because I was so tested last night that I had to share that with you, because it could have went either way, and it went positively. Maybe you can see that, maybe not. So now we're up the hill with Marty Boy. Well, I'm picking high ground, which you always do if you have to do a fight. Any general will tell you that. I don't think admirals are on a boat, but maybe it is high seas. I don't know. But we're saying, I have my back to him. By the way, Chiz says, I couldn't believe you did that afterwards, and I'll tell you that too. That I'm up on top of the hill, turn around, and here's old Marty Boy with that rope-a-dope. You know, we all love Muhammad Ali at that time, and I guess I was torn between Muhammad or Bruce Lee. I love the Green Hornet. I love the way he threw darts. I love the way he kicked. That was me. I mean, I was down for any karate, jitsu, you name one, I was down for it. So here there's Marty going like this, and I guess it was his footwork, like old Bradley. You remember the Ring Around the Rosie there. So Marty's doing the footwork, and I guess I looked down, and all of a sudden, pop in my face. I had my lip split again, but it was the first time. Remember the second time. So I had the same amount of blood. It's coming down on my shirt. Sons of Hercules goes through me. And boy, when that happens, I was again thinking, where am I going to hit this guy? I can't do it with all my strength. So he's happy getting hit. And I came down on his chest. He was down on the ground, but he was quick. He was fast on his feet. He was back up, doing this thing again. And I hit him hard enough, only half my strength. And I just put my hands down, put them in my belt, and I stood there in front of him while he's going around like this. And I said, by the way, Marty, I hit you with half my strength. And if I do it again, you're not going to get up. Or let's say this, I'll sit on your chest and I'll make sure you understand how strong I am. I'm giving you an option if you want to keep going with this. Ding, ding, ding. He's thinking, I can see that he doesn't want to fight me now. So what do we do when that happens, kids? You have to, after a fight, you shake hands. I put my hand out. He was more than happy. We're shaking hands. Everybody's happy. The kids were watching. We're shaking hands. Everybody's like, and then I couldn't let him go. As you know, I have to show them what my strength is. Once I did, he knew how strong I was. It wasn't like, let go. Negative to do that. Just enough to let him know that I had more behind me, and I let him go. He's off to the races. Me and Chiz are up the road. And he says, I can't believe you did that. You turned your back on him. In the past, he's sucker punched people. He wasn't a fair fighter. And I didn't know that either. I was trusting, I guess, at that time. After that, I was a little less trusting. But Chiz says, you didn't have to worry. I had your back. So at least he had that. But he didn't tell about that game, which I forgot to tell you. Before we got to the whole sister she was off talking to the other sister. So before we got to the assembly, this is what happens. You remember the seat situation. I was stuck over there to the window, which is fine. And this is what the big guy, one of the big guys out of the five, stands up and says, Marty, bing, a bing. He says, that was the game. This game it was a swearing game. He yells it out and he says, Marty, bing, bing. Get him! And I thought he was pointing at me, so I'm looking, what is this game? And they all pass me and get the smallest mouse over in the corner to the front of the row onto the left. Kabang, kabang, kaboom, kabang. They didn't have him in the face, but he's like in tears, his red face, and he's crying. And they all run back to their seat like it's it's a game. Chiz never told me about this game. Who are your friends? They've lived this game 5, 6, 7. Now we're into the 4th year. You would think you'd tell your friend, but he didn't ever mention that little game. So the kid is crying, but he cleans his eye. Sister comes in, little bulldog she is. I got a picture of that. It's perfect. That'll be another time. But she's saying, looking at the kid. He's the only one looked like he's crying. She's looking around. Well, first she says, what happened? What happened? He says, nothing. And she's looking around. Who did it? Who did it? Who did this? And nobody. We're all little angels. And I'm thinking, I was so amazed, kids, that I was so kicked back. I normally would have stepped in and stopped something like this. Believe me, any 3 big guys picking on a little guy, it would have been me. And that's the way I was and would be to this day. Outnumbered, something like that. There's something going wrong here. So, well, not positive. It's definitely negative. Wrong or right. It's definitely not positive. Somebody does that to the little mouse, and that's what the other thing I didn't think about. They got the little mouse, and I would be the next size mouse. Or see, there's little mice, medium mice, big mice. Doesn't matter where you are. They're going to start with the little mouse, and they'll keep going to the medium mouse, and they'll keep going to the big mouse. That's how the bullies work. Unless somebody stands up forward and says, I don't think it's positive you do that. Seems to be the guy. So now everybody's gone home. Got to go back to that. Now the next day, it's beautiful. They played the game, except it was the next big guy. There was two big guys that were in charge of this game, and then, but it wasn't Marty Ding and Ding. It was just Marty. Get him! And it was me that they were pointing at me. See, they heard about the fight. Don't tell me they didn't hear about it. They weren't there, whatever reason, but they heard about the fight and they didn't know who won. We have to have, when there's a fight, there has to be a winner, right? And if there isn't, there has to be a rematch. You know how Muhammad Ali and Smoking Joe always were back and forth, who was the winner. I think Muhammad Ali was always the winner. I don't know, it could have been a judgment call. But I'm saying, this is what they all wanted to know. Who was the winner? So they're saying, Marty, get him! And I'm looking at Marty, I'm saying, come on, buddy, we got about 8 minutes. Looks like that's the time frame. And he's going, looking at me, he's looking at them, he's looking at me, and he says, and they said, Marty, get him. He's saying no. And they're really getting upset at this. So I had to deal with the other guy, which I will get to, but I have to retract a second because when we went up the hill and went to dinner, Mom's at the table with us. That day I had a fight with Marty. And Mom asked me over the dinner table, see, I'm here, Bro's here, Mom's there. And Dad wasn't there. They were separated. And anyway, we'll get to that too. So Mom says to me, she says, son, would you like to learn karate lessons? I said, Mom, you know how I feel about Bruce Lee. It was Kato, the Green Hornet. She knew how I felt. We were watching that back in Millstone, for crying out loud. So I had a few years with why they took that off. I don't know. I heard it was prejudice. The Green Hornet, Bruce was doing a little better than the other guy. So he had to go. So I felt prejudice when I heard about that, by the way. So we're at me learning karate. Mom, you know how I feel about Bruce Lee. She says, okay. So the next day, that's what I'm saying, we went and got karate lessons, which guy was a black belt, a very interesting guy and very handsome. And well, let's see this. He said that, I learned actually the kicks. I learned the punching pretty quickly the first day. Then we went back the second day. And then the third day, he invited Mom, Bro, and me out for pizza. I said, yeah. So we get out to the pizza place. Mom gave me a quarter to pick some music. So I knew her favorite song was some Sinatra, Strangers in the Night, that one. And I put the quarters in. I think that was the first one I put in. I don't remember the other ones. But I remember when old Frankie was singing Strangers in the Night, Mom's favorite song. Mom and this guy were looking at each other like, it felt to me like they might get together, which was okay with me because the guy was a black belt. I thought that would be pretty positive to do all that. And then about a week or so goes by, I'm getting pretty proficient at what I'm doing. And he says, by the way, I said, I'm going to be a black belt. And he says, you know what? You really don't need to be a black belt. All you have to do is all the moves you have, just hone 2 of them, and you'll take out whoever it is. He says, a fight never lasts more than 3 seconds. Really? 3 seconds? 1, 2, 3? It's over. He says, build all this stuff in the movies. Bunch of hooey. I didn't say Uncle Louie. I said hooey. So I said, really? In my mind, I'm thinking, well, him and Mom are going on dates and stuff. And I'm thinking, I think Mom and Dad should get back together. So I sort of, Mom always was going on dates to see, whatever. And then and every time she came back, what do you think? What do you think? And one guy looked like Eddie Munster's grandfather. I said, Mom, look at the resemblance. She says, yeah, that's true. And then we just kept saying, and then she says, what about this guy? And I said, well, I think you could do better, Mom. She's really. So she took our advice and decided. So I had my moves down. Actually, I had a few, but I really liked the 1, 2, 3, 4. Get fast at that, and then that's perfect. And then the other one was the kick. Man, I had a powerful kick. I could kick in the door. Yeah, absolutely. So those two were my favorites. I have some others, but we won't go there. So it was a week, at least a week, and maybe in the half of the week, we were outside, and now it's time for the next guy, the next biggest guy. Marty's he's not engaging. The next guy, they knew that, so they picked their next henchman, and we were out on the blacktop. The girls were over here, the boys were over here, and the nuns were over there. So this guy who's supposed to get me, they said, get him. So I'm out there, and we're both going, and I'm getting real close to his face, and he's getting close to mine, but I have the distance of like that. So the nuns from a distance was looking at my head go like that a lot. From a distance, it looks like I was getting hit in the head. They were far enough away, they couldn't tell. We're all running around like this, rope-a-dope, all that stuff, fantastic. The girls are cheering, getting a little action going, but nobody's getting hit in the face. What happens is, we get in this classroom, and the nun says, she picks the 5 guys and me. She says, stand up, you 5, 6. There was 5 in me, 6. She says, you're going to the Reverend Mother's office now. She didn't say for what. We're going down the hall, and she puts us in the office, and it's a small office before you get to the Reverend's mother's office. And I'm thinking, she says, you stay in here. And I'm in there with these 5 guys, and I'm thinking, does sister want me to take these guys out? Well, who is this lady? Because we've been charged for fighting. Her and the other sister saw us fighting, and that's excommunicated when you get caught fighting. So she closes the door and I'm looking at her saying, does she want me to take these guys out? Okay, no problem. I turn around, and then the big guy says, get him. And this guy comes at me like, a cartoon character. Rah, rah, rah. He's gonna get me. He's gonna get me. I stood there, and I just, I figured kicking, I could do that, but I think we'll just do this. And I went 1, 2, 3, 4 very quickly. They didn't even see it happen. And I hit him really good in the breadbasket, half my strength, very quickly. And he doubles over. I knew I hurt him. And I went on his back. I said, I'm really sorry I hurt you. And he goes, rah, rah. And then at that point, the Reverend opens up the door and says, what's going on in here? We're all angels. We don't know what you're talking about, Reverend Mother. She gets everybody. I guess I'm in there all the way to the left. The other 5 are on that side. I'm on this side. And Reverend Mother says, you all have suspension. Normally you'd be kicked out of school, excommunicated and all, but maybe there's too many of you. I don't know what the reasoning for. We're going to get a break, a push, or whatever. And I said, sister, what are you talking about? She says, the sister saw you fighting, and you're getting all expelled for, I think, 3 days. I said, sister, we weren't fighting. And she looks at me. She looks at them. No, sister, they weren't fighting. I said, sister, there was a misunderstanding. The sisters were too far away. So we get out there. Both the sisters says, oh, we weren't going to see them. So the Reverend Mother says, okay. It was because I was saying, I was just showing them some moves. That's all I was doing. I wasn't fighting them. And she says, they couldn't do anything. They couldn't touch us. Nobody agreed to fighting. The nuns were too far away. They weren't there close up. So we got to push. We got to push on that. Okay, go sit down. And they were all jibber-jabbering, chit-chatting. They were pretty upset we didn't get suspended or detention or anything, so they didn't know how that was going to go. I'm just saying, kids, it was pretty exciting because we all agreed as being supposedly enemies. We came together. We agreed that there was no fighting. It was a misunderstanding. And that's what I'm thinking, kids. This side and this side, it's just a misunderstanding. We all just got to come together with you guys to choose positive or negative. That's all. It's a cute little story that I'm running out of time again, where I promised to get to the third one and other things that all come full circle. So until I see you again, oh man, aloha! And I mean it. Be well.